I am a registered nurse. I'm an eternal optimist.
We're all humans and want to pursue happiness.
I am a DACA recipient and I'm undocumented.
I was able to apply for a job.
I was able to go to school. DACA changed my life.
I love this country.
They are making America great.
A country that you love so much.
We chose him. He's the kind of guy that our military needs.
When I was in high school, I was fearless. I thought I could do anything.
My son, he's loyal now.
We're woven into the fabric of this great nation, and we are what makes America great.
DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, is an immigration policy that allows young people who arrived in the U.S. as minors to remain here under the protection of the law. Enacted by President Obama's executive action in 2012, DACA has qualified an estimated 1.7 million youth immigrants to go to school, obtain work permits, build productive careers, and pursue the dream of a better life.
Why am I going to get arrested? I'm going to talk to my mom.
They said we'd be safe.
We don't want to see you get separated from your family. We have to come up with a solution for the DACA kids.
They said they wouldn't come for us.
Some absolutely incredible kids. We are going to deal with DACA with heart.
They lied.
Estaba llorando porque no pensaba que los iba a ver otra vez.
I was brought here when I was 7, so I honestly feel like I am part of this country by now.
Just because I'm Mexican and undocumented, they already see me as less than them.
In my eyes, it's a form of violence.
The arrest of a woman who had DACA status by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, is raising new questions of fear for a community that thought they were spared from arrest. Two other dreamers being detained by ICE.
They basically told me that DACA didn't matter in the situation.
A local dad arrested by federal agents.
In the face of these attacks, all immigrants are at risk.
Police, come to the door!
Los frente de los niños. Los golpearon. Sí, los golpearon. Todos.
We were on the wrong side of history when we sent Jewish refugees back to Europe and their deaths. We were on the wrong side of history when we detained Japanese Americans during World War II in internment camps. What side of history will you be on this time? Here's what you can do. Document everything. You have a right to witness and record the enforcement action. Make note of badge numbers, license plates, address, and the time of the ICE interaction. Share these injustices on social media and amplify by sharing with local media. Get out in the streets with local immigration organizations to put public pressure on ICE and the Trump administration. Here are some of the groups working on immigration rights. InformedImmigrant.com can connect you to local resources and rapid response networks. Get involved locally. Contact your local officials and tell them to support sanctuary legislation, stop deportations, and all law enforcement communications with ICE. Attend neighborhood and city council meetings to advocate for immigrant rights. Stay loud. Make your voice heard.
Tonight in America, children are afraid. Men and women are worried and anxious, thinking about where they can run and hide. We promise our brothers and sisters who are undocumented, we will never leave you alone. Your family.
Our fight is right here and right now.
I am Chair Apache.
I come from the NEA tribe. I'm part of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe.
Drink oil! Keep it in the soil! You can't drink oil! Keep it in the soil!
It's a time of unification. It's to be with my brothers and sisters and my youth, to stand as one and fight for this land.
This pipeline, it's a mistake. It's the worst thing that can actually go through here.
To President Obama, if you are listening, our people are in need of our lands to be protected. You say you are the president and you listen to all voices. Well, this is us telling you to listen to our voice, listen to our cries, because our indigenous people are suffering to protect the land that you are living on.
For water! For life!
This event has brought many tribes together from all over the nation just to fight for water, because water is the resource to everything.
At any time, that pipeline can break and that will contaminate our water. And if it contaminates our water, what water will our children be able to drink? What water will we be able to drink?
It'll just ruin everything around the reservation. Just this whole entire water that we have is just going to be ruined.
Water is life. To protect the water is to protect our life and our well-being as human beings. I hope that for the next generation, that our generation will be able to fight these entities so that they will be able to live a perfect, almost perfect life. Because if we don't, then they don't have a life.
Being able to fight for our land is something sacred. It reminds us on who we are on the inside, where we come from, or who we come from.
To see all of the obstacles that we go through and to be able to live and be proud of who we are, know the songs in our language and know the prayers, I know that we are not a lost people yet.
Native Americans are still standing strong. They'll always be strong.
To the girl on Facebook who commented #AllLivesMatter after deeming the protest she attended a hateful event Martin Luther King would have been ashamed of. Call it an overreaction. Call it a riot, a violent protest. Call it everything but justified. Ask us to be polite, to stay calm, to voice grief with respect while our brothers' bodies are laid out on the street, sounding the alarm. Our bodies are threats well before they are human, and you still want to know the source of our rage. You fear our rage will happen across a storefront window, will happen across a corporate office. You fear the glass shards glittering under police helicopters. We fear your rage will drag our children into the streets and dance in the red pool beaming under street lamps. I cannot decorate this pain for you. I cannot make a beautiful homage. I can't invoke hope in prayer. I don't know how to make you understand the occupation your ignorance has blinded you to. That black bodies are stopped and frisked so often, we might as well call our cities war zones. Every street corner a checkpoint. Violence is not always a dead body. Violence can be a pat down in broad daylight because you share the same hue as suspect. Violence is indicting the man who filmed the killing of Eric Garner, but not the officer that illegally choked the life out of his body while 5 others assisted in the arrest. Violence is convincing a jury that he caused his own death, that had he not been overweight, he would have survived. Violence is needing 6 officers to arrest 1 unarmed, non-violent man in the first place. How can we accept a government that only applies the law to fill prisons with black bodies? How can we accept a government that permits and perpetuates violence against its people? The state traded white hoods for police uniforms, and you want our marches peaceful. You want us calm. You want us quiet. Stop asking us to bite our tongues when we cannot guarantee our siblings safe passage to the corner store. Yet you still want to talk about looting. Want to police our protest tactics. You want me to know that you would have cared about the tombstones this nation is hoarding if we hadn't blocked traffic. You think stopping trains is silly. You want us to march peacefully, to replicate your disfigured perception of Martin, but Dr. King said, riots are the voices of the unheard, and you will hear us now. It is not enough for you to hold our dead in your prayers, to wish us love and light. I get the sentiment, but it won't keep my kin from becoming ghosts. I am not interested in resignations or remorse. I don't want apologies. I don't want your guilt. I don't want your tears. I don't want insistence on how not racist you are. I don't want to know how many black friends you have when you won't even risk the discomfort of calling out your own classmates. You just don't get it, do you? You've never lived out the aftermath. The empty seat at the dinner table. The now widowed mother with 6 mouths to feed. My kin are being sent to heaven well before God has requested their return. And you want to know why Malcolm called whiteness the devil. All lives will matter when Black lives matter. How many more bodies will be enough evidence? How many videos of our last words? How many more must there be for you to finally call this a genocide?
That stereotype of Asian Americans as the enemy was all too real for George Takei from his very youngest days growing up in Los Angeles.
I remember that morning, and in fact, I can never forget that morning. It was a terrifying morning. I was in the living room looking out the front window, and I saw 2 soldiers come marching up our driveway. And I saw at the end of their rifles shiny bayonets. They stomped up to our front door at our 2-bedroom home on Garnet Street in Los Angeles and banged on the front door. It was terrifying. My father answered and we were ordered out of our home.
George Takei's family had committed no crime. Along with thousands of other law-abiding Japanese Americans, they were taken from their home in California in 1942 and forced to relocate to an internment camp. The reason was this. On December 7, 1941, Japan bombed the U.S. Navy base at Pearl Harbor. Overnight, America was at war with Japan, and the U.S. government became suspicious of anyone of Japanese heritage. As a group, these U.S. citizens were labeled by their government as enemy non-aliens.
What's a non-alien? That's a citizen. They couldn't even call us citizens then. We were enemy non-aliens. Why? Because of this. We were taken to the horse stables. And thinking back now, I can't imagine how degrading and humiliating it must have been for my parents to take their 3 children, one a baby, from a 2-bedroom home and told to sleep in that narrow, smelly horse stall. I remember the barbed wire fences and the sentry tower, the searchlight that followed me when I made the night runs from our barrack to the latrine. It was a racist act, pure and simple, and it was an unconstitutional act. I mean, you can't imprison people for their race, and that's what we were imprisoned for.